Hello, welcome back to 3-Day Weekend. Chris, Sarge, Dwight. Dwight has a problem. This is the one we just did valves and everything. Valve stem seals. It's got a full rebuild on it, but I do not like a noise that it's making. Let's check it out. When I start this, it makes a terrible, terrible noise. See if you can hear it. And it did make the noise. If you heard the very end of that first start when it fired the first time, clank, real loud. It's tensioner. There's no question about it. That's what's going on. But I worry about the chain too. So instead of just getting a tensioner and swapping that out, I got a tensioner and a chain. Now the tensioner is easy. Comes out right down in here. Let's get some light on the situation. There it is. And you just turn that out. It's 1 1/8 inch, 1 1/4, something like that. But the timing chain is all down in here, which means draining the coolant again, pulling out the cover, pulling out the rotor, all that good stuff, getting down in there deep. So that's what we're gonna do. I've not done a timing chain job on one of these engines before, but how hard could it be? Let's get started. And of course, to do this job, we gotta drain the coolant again. Getting pretty good at this part. Let's do it down here. It's relatively easy. And put the pan underneath. There we go. Gotta remove this housing. Oh my, those are tight. What do we have? 6, 7, 8mm bolts. I'm thinking I didn't have to remove this cover. But one less thing in the way, I suppose. I'm going to take out our crankshaft position sensor. I'm going to disconnect our stator wires and then start working on all these bolts all the way around that. Got all the screws out. I don't know how low this dipstick goes down in there to the pan, so I'm just going to take it out. One less thing in the way, you know what I mean? And alright, now the stator and the rotor are magnetic, so try and pull it straight out. There we go. And we are clear. Whew. And we have the rotor in our sights. Now we got to get this nut off of there. There's a special tool that will hold this rotor in place, but I don't have it, so we're just going to zip that nut off there. Like so. And account for the washer. Now I have to pull the rotor. There is a special tool for that. It looks like this. Comes with that. I gotta thread this on here. Oh, reverse thread. Yeah, reverse thread. Get that seated. There we go. And there's that. Hit that just real quick. And it popped right off. Piece of cake. It's reverse threads, man. It's hard to break. years of habit on that. There we go. And we got it. We'll take off our starter clutch. Go. And we can see the bottom of our chain. There it is. We just got to get that off of there. We'll probably, yeah, we got to take this little keeper out of there. 2 more 8mm, hold that on. There is our keeper. Yep, there's slack. Look at this. It's chewed up on the end. So, pretty sure that chain has been slapping. These are the bottoms of our chain guides. I don't know if we need to take those out or not, but those are the Torx bits right there. So I'm going to take the tensioner out next. That's this guy. And then we'll go up top, pop the valve cover, and get the chain off of the sprockets up top. In the beginning, I said either 1 1/4" or 1 1/8". It's neither of those. It's 1 1/16". There we go. Jeez. Tensioner out. Yep, we got some slack in the chain now. Should be able to get that off of there once we get it off the sprockets up top. Valve cover. We're just gonna pull the spark plug wire out real quick. We're going to take these 3 Torx 40s off. Get those loosened up, and valve cover comes right off. Now we can see the top part of the chain, but we have to take the cage off, and that's all of these 8mm bolts holding that on. Once you have all those out, you can lift that straight off. I forgot to mention, loosen them by just 1/8 of a turn and a pattern. Work your way around gradually, and then you can take them out. There we go. From here, I don't know which is going to be easier, to take out the sprockets and just let the chain fall down, or would it have been easier to unhook it from the bottom and try to get it out? But my experience tells me the chain doesn't like to bend, so I don't think I'd be able to get it around the end of the crank. So we are full committed to dropping it down through and trying to pull it from the bottom. Yeah, that fell down through. We should be able to work that out. Yeah, there we go. We've got it. There it is. Let's set this on the bench and see if there's any difference between the new one and the old one. I have them laid out here, and the old one is definitely looser. I don't know if this is it's about as scientific as we're going to get here today, but I laid them out straight and then tried to bend them, and this one is much more flexible than this one. Obviously that one is the old one. I also laid it on its side and moved individual links back and forth, and I can see movement, versus this one can't see movement, you know, in the spacing between those. So this one is worn, and this one is new. So we're going to throw the new one in there. I'm going to get it doused pretty good with oil though before I do. Ready to get that chain up through there. So I got a magnet on a stick, and I'm going to send it down from the top like so. Grab the chain. And pull it up through. Like so. There. Just let that sit up there. So I'm going to put the bottom end back together because I can't put the sprockets on yet because we have to set the timing, and the timing is on with the rotor and this Woodruff key, which is on the bottom. So yeah, we'll put the bottom on together first, starting with the little keeper that goes down here. I just learned something cool. trying to set the timing, I said I had to put the rotor in place, but they made a little timing thing right here. So, woodruff key facing down, take 1/4 inch extension, stick it in that hole, and you can turn this, oh, and there it went. See that? Let me do it again. That won't go in, and there it goes. And that is locked into top dead center. So now we can go up and set the timing and put our cams back in there. So we're locked into top dead center down there. And we've got our chain. There it is. And let's grab our exhaust cam. Exhaust cam is the longer of the two. And we want these marks, E for exhaust, to line up with the top of the cover over here. We'll double check that in a minute, but I just want to kind of get it close. That looks pretty close. Intake cam, same as that. We're going to line up the eyes, and you got to make sure that they're the right way up too. I once did that wrong. Not a good day when your engine doesn't start when you're done working on it. Roll that in, send that back out. That one is not even close. There we go. That looks good. And then I usually just stick my finger in to put tension on that chain, line everything up. And I'll show you with my cell phone what those marks look like. All right, we're going in. That intake pipe is right in the way, so you can't see it. But if you work your way up, you can see the eye there, and the eye there, and the E there, and the E there, and we are lined up perfectly with the cover. And fun fact, it wouldn't line up before because the chain was worn, I'm imagining. Ooh, blurry. We got everything lined up, so we're gonna get some oil on everything in here, including the chain. Let that run down into the crank. Yeah, there we go. Now we're gonna put that cage back on top. Right here, and tighten down all of those bolts. We're going to tighten these up next, 84 inch-pounds on these, and do them in sequence so that you do them all evenly. I like to snug them up first and then go through and torque them and then double check the torque. Once you have that tightened down, go ahead and set your valve cover on there. We're going to torque down these Torx 40s to 9 foot-pounds. And the last thing we're doing up here is the spark plug. Okay, back down below. We're going to remove our socket extension. We don't want to accidentally start the motor with that in there. And then we're going to torque our retaining bolts. Again, 84 inch-pounds on those. Now, for record only, I want to show how loose this chain is. I do not like that one bit. So I am probably going to get a new oil pump chain on order, which you're supposed to replace with the sprockets. And the sprockets, I don't know, they kind of look worn. They're very loose. Don't like it. For my own peace of mind, because that's a little loose there, we're going to put the tensioner in first. I have a brand new tensioner. We're just stick that right in there. And we're going to tighten that to 30 foot-pounds. This already feels tighter than the other one. There we go. Ready to get our rotor and our one-way bearing in here. Let's just dump some more oil on there before we send that on there home. There we go. Next we've got our starter gear. I like to put more oil on that too. There we go. And in the shaft. Yeah. There we go. And the big teeth go toward the back. There we go. That slid right in. Ready to put our rotor on there. Now this one is directional. I'm getting some oil in there. And our Woodruff key slot needs to go on the bottom. Remember we set our timing earlier. Again, checking, make sure that our socket is out of there. And if you do it correctly, it will pop in. But you got to get the one-way bearing lined up. That can be a bear. Come on. Nope, doesn't work. Okay, we're going to take all these off and we're going to go with plan B. All right, plan B is we're going to get this lined up on the bench. There we go. Like so. Then we're going to take this whole thing with this whole thing, and we're going to get it started on here. And we're going to get this guy started on here. Slide that rotor around. And we're going to put the whole thing on at the same time. Thinking one-way bearing. There we go. We're good. Flywheel or rotor retaining bolt. Don't forget your washer. And then we got the nut. And we have to torque that sucker down to 133 foot-pounds. Ew! I wasn't able to record it and get my hands in there at the same time, but I was able to stick the screwdriver in there like that, catch the little tab off the rotor. That was enough to hold it. We could torque that right down. Like I said, there's a special tool, but I couldn't find it online to hold the rotor, a rotor holding tool, whatever. So you gotta make do with what you got. But it's tight now. Next up is a stator cover. I like this gasket because it's kind of an O-ring gasket type thing. So we can just grab the stator and stick it on. Also right here is a little bit of black RTV cement where the wires, the wires come out. So I applied a little bit more of that before we try to stick this back into position. Now watch your fingers, because it's a magnet. Whew. I got mine out of there just in time. And turn that water pump, because it's got to line up with the end of the crankshaft to get in there. Now we can put all of our stator cover bolts in there. Those are the 8mm, and they get torqued down to stator cover screws, 9 foot-pounds. I was putting this on, there was a little bit of a gap right here because of the shaft that the sprocket is on, so I just had to tap it a little bit and it closed right in and did that. So make sure you don't have a gap all the way around first. Now we should be good to start putting in our bolts. All those are torqued in, 108 inch-pounds. Let's put the oil dipstick in so nothing falls in there. And then we'll put the crankshaft position sensor in as well. And the crankshaft position sensor, or CPS, gets torqued down to, I don't know offhand, I'll have to look and get back to you. Crankshaft position sensor, also 108 inch-pounds. Water pump housing, which survey says we did not have to take off. We'll put these 8 bolts back in there, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that it wants 108 inch-pounds.
9 foot-pounds.
Yep, 108 inch-pounds on these as well. These are all torqued down. We're going to plug in our stator. Don't want to forget that. There we go. And reconnect our water pipe. There we go. Common screwdriver and torque that down. Now at this point you can make a choice, but I'm going to start it and make sure that there's nothing majorly wrong before I top it off with coolant, because every time you open it you waste coolant. That drives me crazy. But we should be good for a test hit. Ready for a test run. But I don't know, honestly, if it's going to make some racket because of the new tensioner and the new chain at first. Let's hope not, but the tensioner doesn't have any oil in it. So I don't know. Let's see what it sounds like. It sounded good, didn't make the noise. And it sounds a lot quieter. I think it's running pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, no coolant in it. So let's get some coolant in there and get the system bled. I've been asked a few times, how do you bleed this coolant system? Let me show you. Right here is the bleeder. Ugh, jeez. And it's 8 millimeter. You just loosen that up like that. Or you can take it right out if you're feeling rowdy. We're feeling rowdy today. There. Now we're going to put coolant in the reservoir up front until it comes out here. I'm set up front. I'm going to be adding some coolant in there. I got James watching that bleeder. Even though if you look, I can't see it with the glare, but I can see it right there. But it is hard to see, so it'll be easier with someone else telling me, okay, it's coming out. But you'll notice the way we drained that and kept the airlock, it didn't really lose much. So it won't take this whole gallon. Nothing yet?
Nope. Most I got was a little bubble. Nothing else. Oh, there it is.
It's coming out?
Yeah.
Steady?
Well, it just came out. Yep, it's coming.
There it is. Whew, man, I was running out of patience. We're going to take this cap off. These are always stuck. There we go. And that will let the extra run down into that. That's full.
To the brim.
Yep, that's what we want. So we'll cap that off. And we're gonna fill up this reservoir. Oh, it is full. All right. Yep, it's fine. Oh, okay, take it out. And now the coolant system should be completely bled. We're gonna start it up and let it run up to temperature. Still idling, just hit 174 if you can see that, which is when the thermostat starts to open. So now I should be able to feel the hoses up here and feel them getting warm. And I do. So I've got coolant flowing through the radiator. That usually means I don't have an air pocket in it, but we're gonna let it run up to high 190s. Usually hits 201 or so. That fan will be on and we'll watch the temperature start coming down. So far so good. Getting close, 192. That fan should kick on here in a moment. We've got a fan. 199. If we did everything right, it should start to cool down, but normally it'll go up touch 201 or 203. Especially the first time. 201, 199. Do we have a 197? Come on, do it.
It takes a minute.
198. Yep, it's on its way down. So this machine is fully functioning. That's going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate every viewer and every subscriber, especially you members. You guys are amazing, and your support is what keeps the wheels turning on these machines, especially the kids' machines. Boy, they are crazy. But thanks again for watching, and I hope you'll join me for another video right here on 3 Day Weekend.